Hello everybody, in this video we're going to add some collectible items. By collectible items you think it's pretty self-explanatory, but it's things that the bat can, when it's flapping about the screen, can collect, with the main idea being that once you've collected so many, or maybe all of them on the screen, then you go to the next level. Okay, so the first thing I would like to do is I'm going to put in a new sprite from the library. I'm sure you will have your own assets already, but if you don't, then choose sprite from the library and then you can select whatever type of sprite you want. There's absolutely loads. I think if I click on things, I'm going to have an apple. Okay, so I would then double click and then I've got my apple right there. Now obviously it looks slightly out of proportion to my bat, so I will shrink the apple down and make it minuscule like such. There we go. Let's have a look, maybe one more. There we go. Cool. Okay, so I now have got an apple. Now what you need to make sure is you know what asset what individual sprite you are clicked on, because you're going to add the code differently for different ones. Okay, so I've got my bat there. My bat's got its own separate code there, and I also have my apple, which currently has no code. Okay, but the first thing I'd like to do is click on data and click on make a variable. Okay, so variables, something which can change within your game. Okay, something which is gonna, depending on an action or an event, is gonna alter. So if I click on make a variable, and then I might just call this one, again it's completely up to you, I'm gonna call that one score. Make sure for all sprites is selected and press OK. Now you will know, or you will notice, that it's put a little thing there that says score 0. Now I can click that on and click that off. Now I don't really want it to be visible, but just while I'm testing out that it works, I'm going to put it there so we can see. You get all different options for it, such as set score to 0, change score, show it and hide it, and so on and so on and so on. Okay, so what I've done is I've made one called score. So what I'm going to do next is I am going to click on the apple, which I'm already clicked on, but if you'll notice as well that because I've set it for all sprites, I can use that variable of score for anything that I want. So I'm going to click on the apple, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say events when backdrop switches to level 1, and then I'm going to make sure score is set to 0. There we go. After that, what I'm going to say is let's have a look. Let's go back one. When backdrop switches to level 1. In fact, actually, I could probably put that looks, because I want it to be hidden to start off with. So I'm going to show there. Okay, so I could say when green flag is clicked, then hide. Because again, if I go back, in fact, I'll leave it like that. Now, if I just start the game and see what it looks like, I don't want that apple to be there. So let's stop it. Let's put when green flag clicked, hide. So I want it to be like that. And then when I start a new game, then it shows up like that. You'll notice that my bat just flew straight through them. So what I want to do is make sure that it disappears. You should hopefully have guessed by then. Hide. I probably don't need that now. So I'm going to, let's have a look. Let's see, when backdrop switch to level 1 show, and then we will have control if, and then the sensing, touching. Now we've got a drop down menu for that. Now as you make new sprites, they will appear right there. So if touching, I've got all my buttons and my bat. If touching the bat, what do we want to do? Well, let's have a look. We would want to looks and hide, but also go into data, and we want to change score by 1. So as well as hiding, we're going to change the score by 1. Now there's a problem with that. This is one of the most common problems with Scratch, is we don't just want it to be as the instant that the backdrop switches to level 1. We want to make sure that it is forever. So it can be at any point in the game, forever. If the bat touches, that it's going to hide and change the score. So let's have a look. Let's start from the very start. There we go. Start new game, and then my bat's over there. and then there we go. So it's disappeared now, and I now have a score of 1. Now what you could do potentially is you could right click. Now it's a good idea to do it once you've set all the code up as well. Okay, now I can duplicate the apple, and it's a good idea to make sure that it is showing up at the time, and then I can duplicate again and again and again and again to have as many different apples as you want. Now let's have a look, and then it's good just to test out. So now they've all disappeared because it's copied the code over when I duplicate it. Start new game, and then the idea is that you're going around your game collecting all of these apples, and you will notice that the score is going up as well. If you want your score to be displayed on the screen, that's absolutely fine, or if you don't, then obviously click on the hide button, which I actually don't want it to be. So I'm gonna go to my data variable, and then I'm gonna say, let's have a look, I'm gonna make the score invisible like that. So again, I can click there, start new game, and then you just be going around. Now again, the final aim where we get into, or not the final aim, but one of the main aims where we get into is to make it so when I collect the last apple, this one at the top there, bump, then it would go to level 2. I might say well done and go to level 2. Now it's completely up to you as well. What you could potentially do is maybe on the bats, this is like extra things now. You could say, let's have a look, let's make another when backdrop switches to level 1, control forever, if then, and then same as before, if touching apple, and it could be any, you can do it for each one if you want. Then you could looks, you could say yummy for 2 seconds. Then let's have a look what that do. And again, so I'm clicking on apple now. Now what happens is often you might not know which one apple 1 actually is, but if you press on apple, then you can see it kind of flashes. What's that one there? When I click it, it flashes up. So now let's go and get that apple like such, and then down, and then there we go. We've got a caption, so it's just adding an extra level of interactivity into the game. Thank you very much for watching this video. The next video shall hopefully be about making enemies and putting some enemies on the screen. Okay, it's quite a complicated one. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.